Oh no, should I hit record? I don't know what I'm gonna say. Should I keep going? What am I gonna do? Yo, you saw that? All right, guys. Hi. Amazing start to a video. What an amazing start. Welcome to the love vibration. How's it going? No redos. So, do you worry? Have you ever had a worry in your life? Yeah, of course you have. Everyone has worried at some point in their life. Know what I'm saying? Everyone has had those voices that say, I don't know if I should do this. Should I do that? Or, what's gonna happen if this happens? Or, I need to know. I just need to know what's gonna happen at this very moment. Until I know, I'm just gonna think about it. Know what I'm saying? So, some of us have that often. Some of us not as often as others, but we all have it. We all worry. That's what worry is. They're these little voices that, they think they're our friends because they're trying to protect us. They're like, oh, I don't know about that. Imagine you had this little friend who's just afraid of everything. Any little thing that could happen, they're thinking of every possible way things could just go wrong. And that's your worry. That's your little friend that you got. And it's just, it's always saying, hey, before you do that, you got to think about everything, which, it's there to help. It's there to keep you safe. Our worries, all the stuff that we freak out about, that is just there to protect us. We develop these worries somehow, just by living our lives. And so yeah, they're there. They are there. Our little friend or friends or however many of them there are, they're there to stay. They're a part of you. Okay? Did you know that you got a friend? Yo, I'm your friend, for real. God is your friend too, but you also have a friend named worry and fear, worry. And so what happens is you live life. And here's the thing. They're kind of invisible. Some of us could see them or imagine them at least. But, they're these invisible friends that are speaking in your ear. They're saying, watch out. If you do, I don't know about that, guys. Literally, that's what they're like. They're like, so you just got to be like, yo, I don't need that right now. Push that friend away. Push it away, because you don't need that. Because what are they doing? They're keeping you, when they're right here, they're keeping you from just being like this, from being free, from being happy, from being lifted to where we normally are, where we try to be every day, every morning we get like this, So yeah. So what do you do about worrying? Everyone says, I don't want to have worries. I just don't want to have I don't want to worry. Okay, well, that's a great start. You don't want to hear those little friends talking to you. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. They're always going to be around. So what do? Like I said, you acknowledge them. They start creeping up. They start out here sometimes. Maybe sometimes they start right here. Like you go from nothing and then all of a sudden something happens and they're like, or maybe, the worry starts slow. Maybe you could, a little glimpse in the background, but eventually, slowly but surely, they make their way here. So as soon as you see them in your field of vision, or, whatever it is, however you imagine it, just push it away. The second it comes in, recognize it, be like, I see what you're doing, friend. I see what you're trying to do. And then just say, thank you for being there. I know you're trying to protect me. You ain't mad at your friend. It's your friend. Remember, it's there to help you, stay safe. But, you just got to explain to it. Be like, I see you're just trying to keep me safe. I mean, you know what I mean? You're just, you love me. You love me so much. You're trying to keep me safe. But I don't need to be safe right now. I trust myself enough that, let's take the example I used earlier in the live stream today. So say you want to give someone a compliment. Say, you really like this hat someone's wearing and you want to say it, But that voice comes in and says, oh, what are they gonna think if you say that? Oh, I don't know if I should say that. Things could happen. They might not react exactly how I want to. See, that's your little worry friend. So as soon as something like that happens, say, later friend, give that compliment. Give that compliment, for real, for real. Don't hold back with things like that. That's just one example. But literally, if you're just trying to enjoy relaxation time, let's say you're done with work, you have a day off, you're just trying to relax, but yet you can't because, oh, tomorrow you gotta do this, or oh, you gotta see this person, or oh, I gotta do this later. Psh, yo, this is bad. It's all good. No, I look 100% amazingly incredible as is, and nothing needs to change. What am I saying? Yo, freaking love it. Sorry guys, I had to do that for myself real quick. But listen, no, for real. Think about how silly it is to worry. You're giving in to your little friend that's just like, I'm too afraid to do that. To stop giving into that. Seriously, just smack that thing out the way. You do not need to listen to that anymore. You don't need to listen to that ever. You're waiting for a test result. Oh, I need to know the result right now, but I have to wait like a week. No, you don't. You don't need to worry about that whatsoever right now. You will find out when you need to. And when that crossroad comes, you will deal with it. Until then, it is pointless to have that there. Push that guy aside. You don't need that. You really don't. That guy or girl or whatever it looks like to you, a devil, I don't care, For me, I think of it almost like these little cartoon characters, that's how I envision it. These little guys like, me, we don't gotta listen to that. We do not have to listen to that anymore. You don't. They're not gonna go away. It's up to you to recognize when they start coming in and be like, oh, it's okay. Remember, they're not bad. They're not bad guys. They're not bad things. They're trying to protect us, but we don't need that because it's actually harming us, by having those thoughts, by having that in our head. We don't need that in our head. Remember, what is happiness, guys? What is happiness? Is it what we got? Is it what we want? Is it, money? All happiness is if this is a happy place, you're gonna be happy. You're gonna be content. You're gonna be okay with everything. This is what we're taking care of. And when there's stuff in there, those worries, that's not happy. We don't need that in our head. Make this head a nice place to be in. Make it nice. That's your actual home. This is your home, okay? You wanna decorate your home nicely. You want it comfortable. And you don't want uninvited guests. See, you don't wanna invite your little friend into your head, It could come close, you could see it, it's on the outside, but we don't let it in. Not anymore. It's all right, We've all let that friend in. We've all let that friend, just chill, make a nice little place for itself, breaks out a hammock. It's like, I like it in here. You're a little friend. It's like, I like it in here. But we don't want them in there. For real. Sorry. You could go out there, do your thing, just not in here. Not for us. No. When you vibrate that high, that's the thing. When you are vibrating that high, they can't even get to you. You don't even have to try. You're like, I see you a mile away. You stay way the heck out there. You're like not even close. And you just live. And those guys don't even want to be near you because it's like, what's the point? You're not going to get into this guy. So, these little things start creeping in when, your energy is a little bit lower. Maybe you're sick, You gotta just be aware. Awareness, vigilance, know what I'm saying? Shout out to my homie Thomas. Know what I'm saying? Like while they try to get in, don't let them in. How easy is this to do? it could be pretty dang difficult. I'm not saying this is easy, but I am saying this is a start. Recognize what happens and know what you got to do about it. It becomes easy. It's a practice, like everything. Just like the way the daily affirmations, it's a practice that we do, and it helps reprogram this so that the thinking we want to think becomes really easy. We don't have to try at it, I've been doing this a little over a month, and it's becoming, day by day easier and easier, and it's still brand new. It's still brand new. The change could happen quick. I'm telling you, if you begin to really work on yourself like that and have that a very strong focus for you, the shift will happen very quickly. It will. And it might be weird for you, but just go with it. Just trust, because those little creepy things are gonna come in and they're gonna start saying stuff. They'll be like, is this even real, or am I just liking this because it's new, and will it wear off? Voice, clear this. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. It's tough to do, but you recognize it. We're gonna be aware for that. Be on the lookout. Just say, oh, you're right there. Oh, you know what? I never really realized it, but you're there often. You're always there. What the heck? And then just ain't there anymore. As soon as you realize it and just pay a little attention to it, it doesn't feel the need to be there anymore, Just pay a little attention to it. Be like, all right, what are you trying to protect? And then think about it. Is this worth worrying about? Is it? Analyze it, because maybe there is something. Maybe there's some danger, really right there, and you should be worrying about it. But, analyze the situation. Is this worth getting in my head instead of me just being happy right now and, doing what I got to do, get lifted again, I'm like this. Should I be like this? Probably you should be like this, in most situations. I'm not lying, what's keeping you from that? What's keeping you from that? Fears. Oh, I don't want this person to think I'm weird because I'm so happy. Be weird. Be that free weirdo. For real. For real. Be a free weirdo. Why not? Do you know how it feels to be free? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think you're free, and, maybe you are. But the thing is, when you're a free weirdo, you literally let go of the fears. You let go of the fears. That's what you've done. That's how you become free, because fears are what keep you captive. Those little voices saying, yeah. Once you don't have those, and you're just, I'm going to do anything. I don't care. I'm going to show my freaking arms. Who cares? Who really actually cares? How does that matter at all? It's keeping us from having love fully and giving it. It is. When you have the fear of giving out love, you're not going to give it. And if we're trying to gain and give as much as we can, because you can't give what you don't have, if you want to give tons and tons upon love, if you've connected with that, if that's your goal, that's my goal. It might not be yours, which is fine. I'm just talking for me. That's what I want. That's what I connected with. I talk about that in other videos, but if I want that, I gotta let go of every fear. You know what I'm saying? Because that's gonna hold me back from being the total 100% free weirdo that I was born to be, and I want to be that guy. We are all characters. I needed a character upgrade. I'm trying out a new character. This is a new character. This is the new Brygo version, 3.0 or 78.9.0, whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is a new character that I've been trying out, and it's the one I'm going to keep because it's a character I've always wanted to be, modeled after Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? Whether you believe in the religion or not. We all know the story of Jesus. We all know who he is as a person. I'm not talking religious here, okay? I'm sorry, but that is not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the character of the human being person named Jesus, whether it's just a story or he was a real man or actual son of God. It's irrelevant to me, because all I'm concerned about is being like the character. And, just being filled to the brim with love for the creator, for, the Father, however you want to call it. I know I'm talking religious, but it's not religious. I'm just talking about how I want to be. filled with love so I could have it and give it straight up. That's all it is. And, you know, for me, I did grow up with that. So that's my example of someone I want to be like, you know. I think it's important we all have someone that we could look to and be like, I want to be like them, you know. And so for me, it's just straight up the character of Jesus. I hope that makes sense. I really do. I know it does make sense, but like, I hope you really get that. That for me, it's not about a belief. It's about this character who I want to be, you know. And for me, I want to have love, the love vibration. That's why I call it that, because, you know, getting in that high spirit, the Holy Spirit, the love vibration, all the same thing, you know, just being content and happy, you know, positive vibes, whatever you want to call it. Yo, guys, push those little nagging thoughts away. They're there to keep us safe, but we don't need to be safe because we're breaking out the comfort zone. That's how we learn, how we grow, how we expand. That's how we're ready to take on anything that Earth School throws at us today, just for today. That's all we got. That's all we got to focus on. No more worrying, we focus. You know, what you focus on grows. So remember, push those little naggy guys away. They ain't anywhere close. For me, they ain't even anywhere close, you know. As soon as they pop up, you know, I just push them away. I'm like, oh, I see you. Yeah, you're there. You might not go away, but it's fine because you're very far away and you ain't getting in my head. So guys, I love you very much. If this video added value to your life in any sort of way, you know, hit that subscribe, know what I'm saying? And also hit that like, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, join me for daily affirmations. Every single day we get lifted, and yo, I'm going strong. I'm going strong. This is crazy. You know, if I could do it, you could do it. There's no doubt about that in my mind. It's just we got to start somewhere. And if you're nowhere near where you want to be, you're where you want to be just for watching this, you know, just for getting any of this stuff in your head. You know, it's a start. We're planting seeds, okay? And I got total faith that seed could turn into something. It happened to me. I lived my life on the floor, and now I'm up. Guys, it could happen. I'm not I'm not alone with this. But anyways, I'm gonna go have the best day ever. Love you guys very much. I will see you soon.